your body's not against you. Maybe the pain you're feeling is your body trying to tell you something. You know, your body's symptoms are not purely physical. They always have an emotional and energetic component as well. If you'd like to learn how to assist your body's natural healing process by clearing blocked energies and understanding your body's messages, I invite you to enroll in my step-by-step course, Talk to Your Cells, because you are so much more powerful than you know.
Hi, I'm Sandra Burnett, an English-trained registered nurse with a global perspective and a passion for practical holistic wellness. Laura Cross of White Sands Self-Care and I have teamed up to combine our experience, insight, and straightforward guidance for anyone who's ready to make meaningful, empowered choices about their well-being. So whether you're simply wanting to feel better, or if you're actually facing a real challenge, or finally ready to just be proactive instead of reactive, this is your chance to move beyond what's masking your signs and symptoms and start addressing what's actually driving them. If you're ready to take the next step, connect with Laura today. Click on the link below or scan the QR code to schedule your complimentary call. We are here to serve you. Your holistic journey starts with one step. Let's take it together. Reach out today. Thanks so much.
Well, welcome everybody to another Mindful Monday. And I want to thank you for making Mindful Mondays a part of your mindfulness self-care journey. Now, as you know, we are all about providing education, resources, connections, and collaborations that support you in that journey and creating holistic, judgment-free community. So I am super excited to introduce to you my newest partner, Sandra Burnett. After meeting this incredible lady and getting to know her heart, her passion, and mission for helping people to heal holistically, one person at a time, I knew we were in alignment and I knew we could achieve more together. So Sandra is known as your holistic RN and has many years as an English-trained registered nurse with a global outlook and a deep commitment to natural wellness. Sandra embodies the harmony of modern science, timeless healing, and practical experience. So please help me welcome Sandra Burnett.
How are you?
I am doing well, Sandra. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're so welcome. I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah, I always, after you and I met, I just knew it was just something that you and I just had like this certain chemistry, the same mission. And it's a lot of fun when you can team up with someone that, believes and sees same things the same as you do. Cause I really do think we can accomplish more together than by ourselves.
That's so true. Well, especially when someone with your vision and your energy, you're just such a positive person. And I have to tell you, I think it was really, truly my blessing to meet you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. So we kick things off here. Can you maybe share with us what it means for you personally to be called an entrepreneur, especially in the wellness space?
Well, being an entrepreneur is just something I was born with. I mean, I honestly feel like it's in my DNA because I've been in business since I was probably about 8 or 9 years old with the lemonade stand. And fast forward, I had a lot of businesses in between, but when I got into nursing, I actually had businesses while I was in nursing school. I went to 2 years of college in Raleigh, North Carolina, and then I actually traveled Europe for a year with my sister, and then met some nurses over there. They called sisters, and I was telling them about, my thought was to come back to America. My dad was going to send me to school to go to nursing school, and they said, Sandra, if you wanted to meet the matron of the hospital, I think I met 3 of them. And if they like you, you can sit an exam. And if you do well, they might ask you to go to school over here. Wow. And that's what happened. And so while I was over there, I did a little bit of entrepreneurial things there. I came up with this idea to, I call it Uber now, but I would take the nurses into Liverpool and they would all give me their 50 pence, and then I would bring them back to the nursing home. So I've just always been that way. I love to think outside of the box.
Wow. And that's wonderful. Yeah, because you don't hear that from a lot of people, because a lot of us, that's not the generation, really, that we grew up in. We grew up to go to school, do your best, go get a degree, go work for somebody. So other than maybe making some side money with like babysitting jobs or, whatever, but no one ever, I don't know about you, but no one in my family ever talked about being an entrepreneur.
My dad was a political figure, but he did have a little Winnie wand that he showed us when we were children, maybe about 11 or 12 years old, because I remember doing a TV commercial, and it was a little thing that you could scratch, and the little blade would go around, and you could switch it the other way, but it was not really that successful. I think we ended up with a lot of Winnie wands, but yeah, I came from a family that supported my little dreams, but that wasn't something that was their passion.
Right, right. And yeah, and that's the key word, I think, is passion. You have to have a passion for it, right?
That's so true. I mean, it actually is not work when there's a passion behind it, in my personal opinion. And when you have that passion, you don't want to leave it. You want to continue doing it. I mean, I wake up every day and I'm so excited about a brand new day, but I'm also excited to be able to share holistic health too. That's why I really wanted to work with you too, because I agree with you. Together, we're going to reach more people.
Yeah. And I totally agree with you. When it's your passion and stuff, it's not work. It's something that you love to do. And when you can see it actually help people change their lives, their health, or their situation, for me, that's everything. It's incredible. But
I have to tell you that when I was in England, they really focus on Florence Nightingale training. So I did a lot of bedside training, and then we'd go into block study, and then we'd go back into medical or surgical or wherever we were going next. And I never really realized how sick people could be. But when you spend 3 years in a hospital, most of it or a lot of it bedside, you really see how fragile the body is. And that, to me, within itself was a huge lesson. And then 10 years ago, I started studying the science of the body. And that's where I started getting so interested in holistic health, because we cover up signs and symptoms. And that's where a little spark of my passion came from. Maybe if we could get to root cause, which I have found the journey there, one of them. That's where my first spark of passion came from when it comes to holistic health.
yeah, I was just going to ask you, I was going to say, reflecting on your journey, I was wondering what that path looked like before you discovered your passion for natural wellness, and if there was pivotal moments that guided you towards that field.
Well, there were, because, I'll tell you what drives me. It are these testimonials that I hear. They almost make you weep. I remember there was this one lady that I had done a presentation, and the distributor came over to me, asked me, could I just go over a little bit more information with this lady? And I said, absolutely. And I went over and I said, so is there anything I need to know? And she had lymphedema, and she said, yeah, I have lymphedema. And I said, do you mind if I see? She said, well, it's in my legs. And I said, okay. Well, I thought I was going to burst into tears when I saw her. And she took my advice, even though she said she couldn't afford to do it. I looked at her husband and I said, you can't afford not to do it. And they did it. And within I think it was 3.5, 4 months, she was traveling with her husband again. So little steps in the right direction can make a huge difference in the trajectory of your life.
So her symptoms were keeping her from being up and being mobile and walking and doing the things that she wanted to do.
Yeah, and one thing that people don't think about when you have edema or you have swelling or you have things that constrict those micro vessels, they're backing up circulation. And you don't want to back up circulation in your body. It's all supposed to flow, because if you back it up, your heart's going to still keep trying, and then it's going to get congested trying, and it just, it's a domino effect, and you just need to be proactive. That's what I try to do, is try to get people educated so they can be proactive. We can deal with reactive too, as long as we're not just covering up signs and symptoms,
Yeah. which is pretty much what our system helps us do. Because I've been in that system, being military, when you don't feel well, you go to the doctor, and of course they throw either 600 milligrams of Motrin or whatever at you, and it may get you through, but it's not getting to the root of what caused it in the first place, which could be a number of things. So it's more than just injuries. People don't realize emotions, trauma, different things that you've gone through gets trapped in your body and can cause effects. So there's lots of different things to the root causes.
Yeah, totally. I agree with you. That's why we get along so well.
We do. We do.
Yeah.
So, as a registered nurse with a wealth of experience, because I know you have a ton of experience, what has been some of the most significant lessons that you've learned while helping people explore wellness, especially options like LifeWave?
Well, now you're talking about a real passion if you're bringing up LifeWave. So I think the first part of that question is just getting people to be open to holistic health, because there's been such a routine of going and getting tablets. I mean, a lot of people even have analgesics in their cupboard. They don't have alternative ways to either address the root cause issue or just start that journey. And so I'm very focused on microcirculation and phototherapy. And I'll tell you, the reason why I'm so passionate about LifeWave is it's affordable. And I have like over 4,000 testimonials on the Telegram station that actually address so many issues that the body has to address, in different situations. So I'm going to show you a patch. So this is the patch that actually changes the trajectory of your life, because what it literally does, it's totally holistic. You put it on your C6, 7 area, that little bump on the back of your neck. You put it on in the morning, so it's easy to use. Nothing goes in the body. So there are no contradictions. Can you imagine? No contradictions, because all it does is reflect the light of your body, the thermo of your body. And when it reflects the light, because these are little crystals in here, and it's nanotechnology, and they've been programmed when your light of your body reflects the light in the patch, it actually raises a particular peptide. It's a GHK-Cu copper peptide. So if you look that up, that talks about anti-aging. And if I were to share a testimonial, it would be that I feel, because I've been wearing them for 5 years, I feel aging coming in. I really do. But what it does for others that are not feeling well, it allows the body to begin to repair and regenerate, because these are like master cells. They know where to go in your body. They know what the body wants to heal itself. I mean, you and I both know that if you cut yourself, your body's going to heal it in most cases, because it wants to heal. But most people don't know, because maybe they do, but a lot of people that I meet don't know that your stem cells at 30 years old are only 50% working. And at the age of about 65, only 85% are working. These are master cells that are no longer working if you're 65 years old. Can you imagine? So what this does is it reactivates those baby dormant stem cells to go like, wake up, let's go. Where do you want to go first?
Yeah. Now, just to be clear, because you said 50%, we lose 50% when we're or 30s, right? Or it's only operating at 50%. So when we're 60, you said 85%, but you mean you lose 85%, right?
Yeah. They just go dormant. Like
Yeah.
85% of
So
your
you're really only getting 15% now.
right. And if you get a little older, a little bit less. So, it's hard. It's hard to see people age unnecessarily, in my opinion. If I had known about this, I would have been wearing them for the last 15 years. I mean, but this particular patch, the company has been in business over 20 years, but the first patch that they developed was for the Navy SEALs. It was called the Energy Patch, and it was to keep them from drinking so much caffeine. And the government hired David Smith to actually develop this technology. And he got so interested, and he's a scientist, he just stayed in the lab and did 10 years of study and millions of dollars to come up with this particular patch. That's the only patch that can actually activate your own baby stem cells holistically. So this is what's really branded LifeWave, this particular patch.
Yeah. And we've mentioned, kind of like anti-aging or feeling younger. It's not, and not that some, it's not nice to live longer, but some people don't want to live longer. Cause I know you've had someone come back to you as like, well, they weren't looking to live longer. And it's not necessarily that it's about that, but it can help them live the best version of themselves, right? Until they're ready.
Yeah. I mean, I had a lady last week just start on the patches, and she gave me, she called me and wanted to order some more because there was a special and she heard about it, and she said, how do I do it? And I said, I'll help you. And, so anyway, we did. And I said, well, how long have you been wearing the patches? I think she'd had them on 3 or 4 days. And I said, have you noticed anything? She said, yeah, I really think my energy's changing. I noticed that I slept better. And we kept talking, and she told me 2 other things that she felt had changed in 4 days. And I said, well, you're like a one patch wonder. Because normally I tell people, give it 30, 60 days. Because I don't want to make them think that it's going to work overnight, because it's not made that way. It's made to reset, but some people do have a one patch wonder.
Yeah. And everybody's different.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, because mine have been, I think, about a week now, and this particular one is for inflammation pain because since I fractured my wrist on both sides, so I make sure I make sure it is on that it is on that hand. But that is one thing I will say I have noticed is that I have started to sleep longer or more sounder at night. So I'm still getting up. I still get up once or twice, or wake up or toss around a little bit, but it's a more sound sleep right now.
Yeah, that's great, especially with that pain.
Yeah.
Well, and next time you order, we'll get you some LifeWave, some IceWave patches, which are specifically for pain. And I'll tell you more about that later. But the Eon patch is perfect. I start everyone on the Eon because it gets rid of inflammation in the body. And when you're these expensive injections that people take, and the word is not all of them work, and they're thousands of dollars. And David said at one of his conferences, he said the one reason that those injections don't work is there's inflammation in the body. So when you bring in these injections and stem cells, they can't go to work because the inflammation kills them. So I like to start my clients on both the Eon, because most people have inflammation in their body. They may not know it. And then we can set them up for better results.
Yeah, we all have some form of inflammation, although it may not be obvious. But since you've brought up the injections, I will tell you, and I didn't know that this company had been around for over 20 years. So they were actually around when I was getting the spine injections. They used to inject, and it's very painful if anyone's ever been through it. But they were injecting, and you can see the radiograph of the needle going in my spine, because they're using that, and I was just gripping, and they're trying to tell me to relax. I'm like, you're either going to let me grip or I'm going to get very colorful, because it is very painful to have that needle. And of course, if you flinch or move, they could hit a nerve and you could wind up paralyzing yourself too. But it was because I had a bulge disc, and the bulge disc was pushing into a lipoma. It was hitting my nerve, and I could be driving my truck and all of a sudden my whole left leg would go numb, and I'd lose the feeling in it. I went through a lot of that. They had me on every painkiller, muscle relaxer. None of that stuff ever did any good. Only thing it did was help me gain a whole lot of weight, and it might have covered it or made it tolerable sometimes, but then it's quickly didn't work. And then they're trying to do another one. It wasn't until after I had lost my husband that I was like, no more. There's other things I could do. Massage, acupuncture. There was more natural things that I could do. And having that lipoma removed a whole lot, which one doctor says, oh no, you don't want to do that. And the other one, I mean, that took away like 95% of my pain because it kept swelling. But again, in the end, really all it did was kind of make it bearable, but there was so many side effects and stuff to that after I learned what the side effects were, it's like, I myself will never go back. I'm like, and since I've learned all the different things with natural healing, that's why I love this. And like you said, preventative. If I can help anybody to be proactive and prevent, things from happening or getting to that point, or helping them get through it if they're already there, either way, it could be a huge help. So, yeah.
I'm so sorry you dealt with that.
Oh, it was, yeah, it was a good couple of years, let me tell you, besides the fog and the other side effects it was. And I just didn't realize what those side effects and the strain it actually had put on my marriage until after I had lost my husband. And I was just like, nope, never again. So I refuse. I don't take anything, and I take care of myself.
Oh, good. Well, we just need to get the word out there, because people have got to kind of wake up and realize that there are alternatives. You know, there are. And I'm all about it. And I really hope and pray that during this lifetime that I can make a difference in thousands of lives. I really want to be a part of that.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why I helped, create this, because I know there's more out there. And I wished back then I would have known what the options were, because I didn't know. I was stuck in the same cycle I was brought up in, where you do this, you go to the doctor, they go do this. And like, no, I have other options. So, but in your experience, Sandra, what are common misconceptions that people have about the wellness and natural healing that you've encountered most frequently?
Probably not having an open mind. And, a lot of people are concerned about spending even $1, so I have, I even, my tagline is why die early? I just want people to realize that we can make a difference. See, most people don't stop and think about what their last 15 years of their life are going to look like. I'll never forget the time that my dad said to me, he was about ready to go. Everything was falling apart, and he had like a L-shaped couch, and we were sitting there, and he said, I'm ready. I'm okay. I'm ready to go. And his life he'd always been in control. He was a judge. He was chief district for like 20 some years. And I looked at him and I said, Daddy, I said, this time you're not in charge, you know, and people don't realize that they just can't say, okay, I'm ready. You will have to live through those last 15 years. And so let's do everything we can to set you up for a great 15 years. And you can do it holistically. And that's the message that I want people to, broaden their scope of their thought pattern here, because we can work together and keep it holistic. I mean, you can do thermography. You don't have to go into all these scans and everything. You can actually do something that's not so abrasive on your body. People don't. I asked a lady at Thanksgiving that was at this big gathering that I was at yesterday, and I said, well, something about, well, have you done thermography? And she's talking about how many times she's had to go in the machine. And she said, well, what's thermography? Well, I just want people to know that these things are out there that are holistic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is, thermography?
Yeah, it's you can get in front of a scanner. It just is almost like a light, like a camera light, and it will scan your body. It will read. We do this on horses too. I'm a big equestrian. You can actually scan a horse, and you can see where the red is where the inflammation is. So then you can target getting the inflammation out, either with using a particular device that I use, which actually elevates your oxygenated blood flow by 29% in 8 minutes. So when you can increase oxygenated blood flow, what that does is it allows the oxygen to get into the cells to get the toxins out, get the inflammation out. So you can see dramatic before and after pictures just using thermography and a little bit of holistic stuff, what I'd call medicine bag.
Oh, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's another passion that you and I share or love, and that's a love for animals. For you, it's horses. I love horses. I've never owned them. I've ridden them before, but I'm a dog person. But the patches and stuff that we're talking about with the cellular, using the light of the body, it doesn't just work on people. It works on animals too.
Yeah, I mean, I have videos that actually show before and after pictures of dogs that have worn the patch maybe overnight, and they couldn't walk before, but now they're walking the next day. I mean, I have one video of a dog that could barely walk. I mean, trying to find the back legs, and was later running and jumped in the car. So, and we do a vet talk once a month, just highlighting different people's testimonials with their animals, their horses, their dog, their cat. Now, I did put X39 on my cat one time, and the energy really, she ran out to the barn. I couldn't believe it. It was too much for her, and you never cut the patch. So I decided that she was good. It was too much energy for her. But actually, most people do not even feel the patch on, but every now and then you'll get an energy worker,
Hmm.
and they'll feel, oh, I feel a little tingle. And it's true. Every now and then, these people that have traveled at light speed, so to speak, do feel that energy. I didn't feel it, but some do.
Right. It's kind of like when I've done the voice scan for people. If they're very in tune to their body, they're energy healers, they can feel the vibration and the frequency. I'm here in Missouri. They could be in Italy and they can feel it because nothing blocks vibration and frequency. Doesn't mean just because you don't feel it, it's not working. It's just, some people are more in tune to it,
Yeah.
as you said. So,
We don't normally see the sun rays, I mean, that we don't see a lot of things. And once you stop and think about all the things we don't see, then you have to trust in phototherapy. You have to trust in frequencies. You have to trust in sound, it's,
yeah.
it's just amazing.
Yeah, it's actually there. And we just either don't acknowledge it or have different terms, or we chalk it up as something different, rather than acknowledging what it is. But that's so true too when you were saying about people don't think about the next 15 years of their life. And I think that's because too many people today are in survival mode, and it's just getting through the day and getting through what they're in now, which is sad. It would be nice to be able to let them, think or plan, for the future, but kind of the, I would say the chaos we've been through lately has a lot of people spinning.
Yeah. I used to think that, life was life, it's just a part of it. But I have to agree, I think that we have a lot more on us now. And I think people need to be very proactive in keeping that stress level down, because stress can cause some real illness unnecessarily.
Hmm.
So, they need to take time, go barefooted outside for a little while, reground on the earth, do a few little things, just stop and breathe. Do they meditate? Do they do any yoga? Do they do anything for just themselves? Do they get up 15 minutes early and just be with themselves? Little things we can do. They're all small steps, but I can tell you they add up.
Small steps can leave the biggest impact.
Yes, they can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they can. But you've built a mission driven brand that combines wellness, lifestyle, and leadership. What's the cornerstone philosophy that guides everything you do?
Well, I do believe in God, and I really appreciate the fact that He's always there. Um, so I'd say definitely that's one cornerstone. And I was thankfully born positive. I have a really positive attitude, and I feel good, and that's another blessing that I have. So I have like lots of little cornerstones, but I finally found this particular business model that I love, because I can work from anywhere, and I can actually work when I want to. And I love that. I mean, if I get one or two meetings a day and I want to take the rest of the day off, I just block my schedule. That was not like it used to be. I mean, I created a very large company here in Raleigh. And I started, my sister, when I got back from nursing school, my sister had $2,000 and we borrowed it from her. And we started a little restaurant, and then it kept growing and growing. And then I ended up buying her out. And what I loved out of the restaurant business was actually doing a party for maybe 10 or 20 or 30. Well, that grew and grew and grew. And I was doing parties to up to 2,000 people. And so that little entrepreneurial spirit was getting really satisfied. So I built a 14,000 square foot building to see if I could do that. So I've always kind of challenged myself to see if I could hit that little goal. Well, I really felt like I had hit a home run. I was doing a lot of gross income. I had a limousine division, and it was big, but I wasn't helping people. I was helping people with their weddings. I was helping corporate events. And so one day I just decided, I'll never forget it. Have a little house in Santa Fe, and I had on Thursday, I usually talk to the chefs. I had 3 chefs that worked with me, and We'd go over the weddings for the weekend and stuff like that. And I'll never forget. After I hung up, I looked over the pinyon trees and I said, God, do I have to keep doing this? And he said, no, honey, you don't. And he said it out loud. And so I came back and I sold everything. And then I took some time off to figure out what was it that I wanted to do. And that was my step to my next chapter. And that chapter ended up being passion.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. So a lot of people don't take time to do that, but I love that you've had that entrepreneur spirit, did it, and then just it's like, yep, nope, need to do something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my patients in England said to me one time, because she said after I got my degree over there, she said she was on the burns unit because I focused on burns, and her name was Hilda. And I'll never forget the day she said, Nurse Burnett, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm thinking about going back to America, or I may go down to Birmingham and do my casualty. And she said, well, Nurse Burnett, are you at all tired? And I said, well, maybe just a little bit, because I was in 2 years of college back in Raleigh, and I've been 3 years here. I said, maybe just a little bit. And Hilda, lying on that little bed, looked up at me and she said, Nurse Burnett, a change is as good as a rest. And I said, whoa, Hilda, you just changed my life. I'm going home. And I did.
That is nice. Yeah, gotta love when you have those epiphanies or whatever. Just it's just like, hey, got time to change.
Yeah.
So, how do you balance modern science with timeless healing practices in your approach to wellness?
Modern science? Well, actually, I enjoy, our food is our medicine. So I want people to start there, but I enjoy what I do so much. I don't want to change my avenue. I really love what I do. So I just learn different things. Like I'm doing a little bit of study on the med beds that'll be coming out and stuff like that. So I read different things, but I love what I do. And because David has such a vision, he has now developed and patented a new water that's coming out probably in January. And he is also working and has already proven it in his lab, nutrition that will be coming out. And it will be, you just put it in a machine, and the way he explains it, it will be programmed in that machine, and you can tell it, oh, I need that to go specifically to my eyes, to my chest, to my wherever it needs. And so I want to tie a knot on the back of his coattails and travel at light speed with this gentleman, because he is actually like Einstein to me. He is brilliant, and I just want to stay in my one lane. I love it.
Yeah, it's incredible when I started reading the story about him, and of course, when I saw some of the talks, I was like, I could tell the man was a Star Trek was a Star Trek fan, and the way he's got that, but just to have that drive, and was always supported by his parents to fulfill his dream, has been really wonderful. And water is extremely important because ours is so polluted. People don't think about it, but I always tell people your body is just like the earth. We are over 75% water. It is what makes all of your systems run, hydrates your skin. Yet there's so many people that I don't drink water, and they drink all this other stuff, so they're not even hydrated to begin with, and it's very difficult to have your body repair when you don't have the right stuff going in it.
That is so true. I mean, Laura, just start with the proper food. We need to eat food that is alive, not with all this stuff in it. I mean, if it's got a list of anything, move on. Stay out of the center aisles. It's all true. Look for organic. I'd rather not eat as much and eat better food. I just really think that people need to pay attention, and stay away from the sweet stuff. Don't drink those sodas. I mean, we can do so much by doing so little for ourselves. I'll say that again. We can do so much by doing so little. A few small changes will make a huge difference.
Yeah, there's really a whole world out there that you can, that you can do. You've never tried it before. Some people think, oh, well, then I'm not enjoying my life, or I'm not living life. It's like, there's plenty of clean things that you can eat and drink or whatever that you may not have before that you will probably really enjoy. You just have to want to be able to try it. It's kind of amazing because as a kid, I Yeah, used to drink a ton of sodas. When I worked the double shifts, we used to have a cola called Jolt that they made for a little while, which was, oh my God, sugar and caffeine. But once you get rid of that stuff, and I tell people, I'm like, if Coke strips the paint off of a car, what do you think it does to your insides? Things you don't really think about when you're just busy down in it and it's keeping you wired and awake. But yeah. But so someone who's you're someone who's deeply committed to community well-being. What strategies do you use to uplift those around you on their journey toward health?
Well, I'm very proud to be in a business model where I feel like I'm a leader of a team. And so that's the community that I spend most time around, because I really want them to do financially well. And this company has been built on a direct sell business model, and I call it relationship marketing, because you build relationships. This is what I love about it. One of my best friends happens to be in my life wave. I happen to meet her on Alignable. I'm just so blessed that I can. It's not about selling someone something, it's about educating someone. And I love the fact that you get to build relationships through this. When I was in catering, people would come in and we'd have these wonderful weddings, just share your dream with me and I will make it come true. And oh, by the way, what is your budget? So I had to work with budgets in many cases. Some didn't care, but I would listen and I would keep my ear to the ground and just really listen. But in this, you don't really let go. It's so nice because I'm still being support for people from 5 years ago. You know, they get in a bind and, hey, I'm at so and so. Can you take care of this for me? Yeah, because I'm totally committed. You know, I love what I do and I'm not going anywhere. So, yeah, I'll help you. I want to have these long term relationships with people too. And that is my community, and that's the community I support. My clients too, but also probably because I meet with I have a lot of naturopaths on my team. I have a lot of people that just want to help others. And then I have people that really want to make some extra income. And with my business brain, I'm excited to be in a place. Imagine this, Laura. I have a business, because it took me a long time to find it. So I have a business model where I can have real long-term relationships. It's not just a one-stop buy and buy. I have real long-term relationships and I'm helping the people. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
No, you're making an impact and you can see the difference. And like before, you mentioned how you can work from, anywhere or when you want, but even more important, you can work with who you want.
Yes, that's true. I actually was signing up someone the other day and I thought she would be the perfect customer, not necessarily a brand partner. So we just stayed on that customer route and it'll work out just great,
Yeah.
because not everyone is going to be a brand partner and not everyone should be a brand partner. It's the right little people that you connect with that you say, hey, would you consider working together? Because you're in the same vertical that I'm in. You want to help people and you don't want to stop. You want to keep doing it. And, I look forward to sending people your way for the AO scan and different things that you're doing. I love what you're doing. I actually have
Yeah.
my AO scan done on a regular basis by one of my naturopaths, So, I understand your mission, my mission, and I'm so glad that we get to work together.
Yeah, and there's so many things out there, like I said, that's, technology and everything, and some things work better for others than different things. That's why I like telling people I have different tools in my toolbox.
Well,
I don't put all my eggs in one basket. I have a number of things, but I think like you, I have to. For me, it's something I always have to use and experience myself, and when I know that works, that's something, and between that and the ethics and morals and everything else of the company, it takes all of that for me together to be able to even get behind, a company, because there's a lot of other stuff sometimes that are just kind of fly by night or just all about the bottom line. But this is truly about helping people to be proactive, like you said, and to help change their health and their life.
yeah. We just give it the light, I would say, the phototherapy to do it with, because it is the body that heals itself. but it has to have the foundation.
Mhm.
And so I just want to open the door and let people say, hey, we've got a great holistic store here. You can go to this person, you know, you
So
know.
what's one of your most amazing testimonies you've ever heard since you've been with the company?
Well, you know, I'll tell you one that almost brought me to tears recently. And I think I have the story correct. It came out of Canada. We're in probably, I think, 80 countries now.
I think 82. Yeah, 82. Yep.
And there was this lady, and I was really drawn to her story when this brand partner on the team told me about her. And because her parents, she was in her, I think, 40s, and her parents had to lift her up every 2 hours to go to the restroom because she couldn't get up herself. She had MS, and she must have had a very bad case of MS. And this is probably now 3 years ago. And then I heard that they didn't have to get her up every 2 hours, that it was going to 3 hours and then 4 hours. And I mean, the exhausted parents were so thankful. Well, I got a video about 3 months ago, I guess, of this lady sitting up in bed, able to do sit ups now. And I mean, it's really emotional, but she was in the video saying, if I keep this up, I might be able to walk next year. She's
Wow.
made so many advances. And, to change someone's life, if we're not walking in those moccasins, we really don't understand.
Mm-mm.
But I try very hard to be sensitive, because even if somebody has a broken elbow, that's a big deal to that person. And you don't want to, share with them, oh, well, that's nothing compared to what I just watched, the video I just watched. Everyone that has an issue. It's a big issue to them. And so I've learned through my little journey that I just want to listen and then see what I can do to help them. And that's been one of my most emotional testimonials that was shared with me.
Yeah, and it says that's where I'm also like you, because that's why I like the judgment free. Because as someone that has dealt with back pain, and I've seen other people deal with back pain, there's sometimes it's excruciating and you can't hardly move, and there's other times you feel fine. And if you're in that working environment, then people are like, oh yeah, well, it acts up whenever you need a day off, or they just all have these opinions of what you're using this for, not realizing the pain that it does put you in. But there's are things that come and go, and everybody handles things differently. I happen to have a higher tolerance for pain, but some people don't. And, that's okay. The thing is to help them be healthier and not be in pain.
Yeah. And be proactive and hopefully not even get there.
And be proactive. But like you said, and listen,
And listen.
you have to be able to listen.
Laura, so many people never get heard. And I've found that to be somewhat healing too, if you can take the time, not be in a rush, not be on a 20-minute call,
Mm-hmm.
Take the time to really hear what that person is trying to say, because they may be sharing emotional trauma, that could be causing the stress, that could be causing, so if you kind of walk in the shoes of that person and try to figure out, where are you coming from, maybe you could help more than just the pain, more
Right.
than just this, that, or the other.
Yeah. So I'd have to say, in our fast-paced world, many people are finding it challenging to prioritize their health. What simple yet effective tips can you offer for integrating wellness into everyday life?
Woo.
I think Karen
Start.
mentioned a couple of them, but where would you suggest people start?
I would just say that food is our medicine, water is our medicine, and those two things alone can correct a lot of issues. Stay away from sugar, and just use your foundation to start with that. Because if you're not working with the right combination with food and water, then you're just setting yourself up for long-term trauma, in my opinion. I mean,
Right.
I used to watch this young man. All he drank he was just drinking Mountain Dews. He was the son of a friend of mine. Well, he just had, I think it was over $20,000 worth of teeth work done. but you can't tell some people anything, So, not that I ever tried to, because if you don't ask, I'm not necessarily going to give you my advice because, it runs in my family that you can give advice without being asked, but I'm trying to curb that gene. And so I really try to be asked and then I'll share, but if we can just wake people up to those two foundational pillars of food and water, we're going to do well.
Oh, that's kind of like when you and I first met, because you and I are both about building relationships and we were getting to know each other. And you weren't really going to say anything about, what you do or what you knew, except for the fact that at the time I had the half splint, this big, bulky, half cast thing around my wrist. And it's just like, it's hard when you're passionate, when you have something that can help someone. It's hard to hold your tongue.
It is. It is. Yeah. And especially when you're talking with someone that cares about health. But you just have to go with the flow. It's interesting. I think if you talk to people long enough, somehow they get onto something that has to do with health or an issue or something. So it's like yesterday. It was a great experience for me at the Thanksgiving dinner because there were a lot of people there. And in my mind, I kept my mouth shut, but in my mind, I was thinking, "Ooh wee, would this help with that? Ooh wee," but I didn't say a word. Mm-mm. Nope, because nobody asked me.
The last few years when I used to live home in Colorado, we always had a big Thanksgiving, for my sister. You had to have a deep fried turkey. You got one oven and stuffed, and then the other one, because we got all this family. Everybody's bringing food. And I'm like, okay, got it. But why are we keep using like Thanksgiving and Christmas to like eat ourselves stupid? You pretty much want to go in a coma by the time you're done. I'm not saying it's not good food, but you kind of feel obligated to eat because everybody worked so hard to make this, and everywhere you turn, there's just food, and it's like, oh, good Lord.
Well, I'm thankful I don't quite feel that way.
Well, and this year it was quiet. It was just Dakota and I had a tri-tip that I had gotten from a friend. So I just did the tri-tip and, the caramelized sweet potatoes. And so,
I do
but
like sweet potatoes. Oh my God.
kept it small. Well, yeah, I've learned to use other things. So instead of like regular brown sugar, it has coconut brown sugar because that's the substitute for brown sugar. So I make sure it's got the healthier substitutes. It still comes out really tasty.
Oh my goodness, yes. I do love sweet potatoes, and my dog loves sweet potato skins.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, and they're actually healthier for you. But anyway, yeah, it's just some of those things. It's just choices, right, that we make or we decide to partake in or not.
What is it Wayne said? We are the choices that we make. It's true.
We are. We are. So yeah, us feeling obligated, that's our own mindset. Doesn't necessarily mean the other people do, but
Yeah, but I do. Like I told the guy that made the turkey yesterday is a part of the family, and I told him, I said, I am going to taste your turkey, but I don't eat meat on a regular basis, and so, but I did tell him I would try his turkey, and I did, and I
yeah.
did, and yeah, but I have to agree with you. A lot of people overeat, but it is what it is.
It is. It is. So with these patches, what are the different kind of patches and stuff that people, or what's the most popular that people use and do?
Well, the one that has put the company on the map is this one. I keep it by my computer. It's the X39. We have other patches. We have patches like the Eon patch for inflammation. We have the original patch, the energy patches. There's a patch called carnosine, and there are these other patches, but this patch is so powerful and is really, I mean, we've been, I think, 2 years in a row, the fastest growing direct sell company by direct news in America. And it's because of this patch. When people, what David says is that when you wear the patch, you need to plan to wear them 1 month for every decade you are old. So when people take that seriously and wear them for, 4, 5, 6 months, they really, most of them feel a difference. And I had a lady on a call one night, and she acted like she'd never spoken on a Zoom call. I mean, she was 80 years old. And the way she started was, I want everyone to know that I am 80 years old today. And I said, oh, to myself, that's interesting. And she said, I almost quit wearing the patches at 6 months, but I remember David said we need to wear them 1 month for every decade we are on. So she said, I'd like everyone to know that I have been wearing my patch for 8 months, and my COPD just left me today. And that was extremely powerful. And I've heard another COPD story. I mean, they're just endless testimonials that light my fire.
Nice. Well, we have about 5 minutes left. So, looking ahead, what are your hopes for the future of wellness education and community support?
I am hoping that I can be a light for others and help them with their journey, whether it be through health or, adding a little extra income to what they're doing. Because our patches kind of sell themselves, and we've built a wonderful system. So all we do is just share a question, and then share a website. And it either resonates. It's a very simple website. It's called I let them get in touch with me, and I'll tell them what it is. Anyway, we just share this little website, and it's so educational, and it's like, and there are a few testimonials on there, and it's powerful, and it either speaks to the person or it doesn't. So I want to be that light where I can shine that little message to more people and help others shine their message. Keep developing the system. I'll do anything I can to help that system, and creatively figure out a way to get the word to as many people as we can.
Yeah, so I have to say, I'm a lot like you, where it's just education. It's just educating people, because people don't know what you don't know. And that a site that you were referring to is something that I shared with a friend of mine who I know has been dealing with balance issues and immune issues and all different things, plus grief, from her husband. So I shared a quick testimonial from one lady that I thought was applicable, and about the next day, I got a thing that said, "Hook me up." And it's like, it was just information, but you don't know what's out there. And it's really amazing because there are so many things out there. But when it's natural, and we're talking about, helping your own cells to regenerate and work themselves without the painful stem cell injections, because I know a lot of people sign up for like stem cell injections, and they're painful. They don't always work. It's just a painful process, and it's expensive to
Oh, yeah.
get those, even with your medical, is normally still like really expensive to try and do stem cell injections.
Well, a lot of people will come out of pocket for it too.
Yeah.
Whereas, yes, they have a guarantee. I mean, there's depending on how you sign up, there's a 30-day money back guarantee. There's a 90-day, and usually within 90 days, I mean, I tell everyone, I mean, I don't want people to pay retail, pay a little extra, get it wholesale. And then that way, I don't like for people to buy in advance too much. I want them to buy a little package so I can develop my relationship. And
Right.
it works, And I'd say, no, you're going to call me back. Call me when they arrive. I love that. And I tell people, all you do is put it on 12 hours in the morning, put it on in the morning. I usually put mine on at 9 o'clock, take it off around 9. If you accidentally forget, you just skip the next day. It's no big deal. My aunt actually forgot to take hers off, and she was awake during the night, because they do give you energy. Some people really do have a lot more energy with this patch. It's interesting. I have good energy, but and I think part of it is from the patch. I feel good. I eat well, and so I know that I'm doing the other little things that count too. But golly, if you're listening to this, from the bottom of my heart, you need to spend a little bit of time. You need to reach out to Laura. You need to go to the website. You need to look at what we have, because I honestly tell you, I feel like I'm the best nurse now I've ever been, because I'm helping people, and it's all holistic. And I just want people to know that, Laura.
Yeah. And I am so glad that we met, because I love your heart. I love your passion and your mission. And like I said, I know together you and I are going to be able to do more and help people. So thank you so much for filling people in and educating them on what they have. If any of this resonated with anybody out there, get in touch with us on that website link that I had shared. We're happy to talk. Doesn't cost you anything to have a conversation with us and find out more. So it's all about educating. It's not about pushing people, but we just want to see people live healthier and happier lives. So
Amen.
I want to thank everybody for joining us. Have a beautiful week, and we will see you next Monday.
Thank you so much, Laura.